Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Raya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hariva, 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 Nitai Gaur Hariva. Can go for a long time. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming here. Today we have a very auspicious day. It's Sunday. Beginning of next week. Many people count Monday as first day because they think it's concentrated around the work. So Monday is first day, and final the Sunday is a sweet part. Is your dessert. But for the people who are spiritually inclined, somehow, the Sunday is the first, since sun is it's a central part of the solar system for the scientists and for the spiritually inclined and following. Then there is quite enough description that Krishna is like sun, and when there is a sun, there is no darkness. So therefore, we also meditate on Krishna as a sun, as a Krishna's eye, because from spiritual sense, the eye is acting not only as a perceiving the light, actually giving the light. It's like blessing, you know. When our eye is dark, you know, it just absorbs light. But when Krishna glances, he just gives light and bhakti and love and everything. Sensitive people can understand that, and they stand and they feel uncomfortable because somebody looking from the back, you know. You feel the eyesight, you know, on the back. So for us, Sunday is the beginning of the next week and the cycle, which is culminating in a Saturday night. Yesterday was culmination, right? So now it's new cycle. And also it's beneficial because in the early morning you wake up and first thing you see is devotees. It's mentioned in scripture is most beneficial thing in the world, when you wake up and you see devotee first time. It's not meat eater, it's not any karmi, you just wake up and it's devotee. That's very auspicious also. And of course, darshan of Narasimha and reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all auspicious. So today we are reading from continue reading Canto 325, Glories of Devotional Service. Text 14. Before that, we will pay respectful obeisances to the Vasudeva, the original personality, who is an embodiment of the most pure consciousness, pure of every matter, that's untouchable by any material contamination. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tamimam te pravyakshyami. Tamimam te pravakshyami. Yamavocham purangahe. Yamavocham purangahe. Rishinam shrotu kamanam. Rishinam shrotu kamanam. Yogam sarvanganai punam. Yogam sarvanganai punam. Ita tam imam te pravakshyami. Yam avocham purangahe. Rishinam shrotu kamanam. Yogam sarvanganai punam. Prabhuji? Rishinam shrotu kamana. Yogam sarva punai punam. Pravakshami. Ocham puranake. Rishinam shrotu kamana. Yogam sarva punai punam. Tamimam me pramakshami. Yavocham pavai. Nam shotu kamanam. Yogam sarvanganai punam. Yamimam me pramachami. Ocham puranage. Rishinam shrotu kamanam. Yogam sarvanganai punam. Tamimam te pravakshyami. Kam ovacham puranage. Rishinam shrotu kamanam. Yogam sarvanganai punam. Mataji? Adhokṣaje. Adhokṣam puranage. Rishinam shrotu kamanam. Yogam sarvam punai punam. Tamimam te pravakshami. Yogam sarva gunai punam. Tamimam, that very, te, to you, pravakshami, I shall explain. Yam, which, avocham, I explained. Pura, formerly. Anaghe, Opa's mother. Rishinam, to the sages. Shrotu kamanam, eager to hear. Yogam, yoga system. Sarva anga, in all respects. Naipunam, serviceable and practical. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O most pious mother, I shall now explain unto you the ancient yoga system, which I explained formerly to the great sages. It is serviceable and practical in every way. Purport. The Lord doesn't manufacture a new system of yoga. Sometimes it is claimed that someone has become an incarnation of God and is expounding a new technological aspect of absolute truth. But here we find that although Kapila Muni is the Lord himself and is capable of manufacturing a new doctrine for his mother, he nevertheless says, I shall just explain the ancient system which I once explained to great sages, because they were also anxious to hear about it. When we have super excellent process already present in the Vedic scriptures, there is no need to concoct any new system to mislead the innocent public. At the present, it has become a fashion to reject the standard system and present something bogus in the name of newly invented process of yoga. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadatara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Gopal Krishna Krishna, Prabhupada says that I'm here for Krishna Prajam. It's such a nice surprise and view. There's some devotees which don't come every day. Do you have a experience or habit listening Srimad Bhagavatam in the mornings or evenings, something like that, in the places you stay? Yeah. Closer to microphone, like that. Yeah. So, the Srimad Bhagavatam, at the end of itself, in the 12th canto, when the whole thing is wrapped up, so to make it just the final dot, the Srimad Bhagavatam itself is glorified. And it said, Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yat Vaishnavanam Priyam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is pure, unalloyed, shining, Amalam. Purana, the scripture describing the Purana can be also in different ways. Pura means something complete in whole. Also, Purana means the ancient, something which is describing the happenings and events of the past. Also, it can be understood it's scripture in form of stories, not just the philosophical, like Vedanta Sutra. It's just sutras, philosophical statements. And it's priyam, it's very dear, very valued by the Vaishnavas. So therefore, those who consider themselves Vaishnavas, they should be feeling very inclined and dear towards reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. And every very verse, every line is full of nectar, although we may be not perceiving it. But many times Prabhupada mentioned that all Srimad Bhagavatam is building up to the final status of the what's the 10th canto name? Summum Bonum. So it's building up. So we are kind of rolling up, coming closer to the final glories of Krishna himself. But here it's already mentioned, and Prabhupada says there were sages who were willing to hear it, and he himself explained it before. Does it remind you of something in Bhagavad Gita? Particularly? Many, many years ago, I explained this knowledge to sun god, and he explained to Ikshvaku and so on and so on. So the system of explaining to sages, actually sages means they are already kind of qualified and interested in many deep, important spiritual subjects. And that goes on. Krishna is already explaining also in Bhagavad Gita, and that's interesting to see that the same kind of format of discussion is going on through the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, just goes wider. You can tell a child a sleeping story, nighttime story. If he's very sleepy, it goes in 2 minutes, You just get some Winnie Pooh, whatever, fairy tale, and it just goes like this, and he just falls asleep. And if he doesn't fall asleep, you have to tell more, You have to have a full version. And Srimad Bhagavatam also has a full version, It's about 1 million verses. Now we have 18,000 higher planetary systems. It's much wider, much bigger. Their lifetimes are longer, and they listen, They are wealthy, they don't have things to do. They can listen all day long, not to work like we do. So, Srimad Bhagavatam versions are very, very nice. And also the inside Srimad Bhagavatam, as in Bhagavad Gita, for example, is Gita. And now we have Kapila Gita. You heard of not, but it's actually Kapila Gita. He explains the whole thing. It's coming up, a few chapters. There's an explanation of material nature. There's chapters in Bhagavad Gita explaining all the gunas and material nature. Then there's currently is glorification. It starts with glorification. Then goes the whole description, and then the explanation with the different varieties. So, and later on we also know there's Uddhava Gita, when Krishna also directly speaks to Uddhava. He gives us exactly, but there's more details, more wider, more deeper explanation of exactly same subject. So Bhagavad Gita is ABC, and now we are BCD. Uddhava Gita is CDE, like that. All the same things. And Krishna says also when he comes. Currently, in the first verse in this chapter, it is said that although he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, took birth as a Kapila Muni by his eternal potency, he described and disseminated transcendental knowledge for the benefit of the whole human race. So beneficial appearance of Lord is always there. Unwillingly, if you appear somewhere as a Krishna, everything it becomes beneficial. Like Chaitanya's appearance, even the lunar eclipse, which is by astrology and any scripture is considered to be unauspicious. You have to, after Rahu is covering sun, you have to take bath and purify and wash all your house and stuff like that. At the same time, when Chaitanya appears, even that turns completely upside down, becomes most auspicious. And he appears in different reasons, The famous verse in 4.7 Bhagavad Gita, Yadha idha dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. The place where decline of religious principles is there, I appear myself, personally. So, benefit. beneficial, as we hear that he disseminates the knowledge, and devotional service is also, can be said as a knowledge. Although the word itself means to be service, it means activity, but first, before the activity starts, we have to receive a knowledge about it. And then later on, we do it, and then we look back. How did we do it? How good it was, and then we maybe need additional knowledge. Like we learn the puja, or we learn the cooking, or something like that. First you read the cookbook, then you cook it, and then somebody at lunchtime gives you a comment. You know? This was no good, that could be better, this was perfect. So such a word, you get extra knowledge, which you had never idea how it's there. You know, even reading the best cookbook ever, with the pictures included, you will never be able to replicate the exact same preparation. It's just impossible. You know? It's impossible. Therefore, you need the live transmitter of the knowledge and the experience, how it's going through, and the result, and so on and so on. So therefore, elevation in our case means actually pulling us out from our lower modes of material nature, which is tamaguna, rajaguna, and lifting up to the sattva guna. Because in the lower modes, there's no knowledge. Like we know the animals living, they are not really knowledgeable. You know, they have some skills of, you know, dolphins like to swim, and they're really good swimmers. You know, much better than us, definitely, for sure. Or lions, especially Jiyada or whatever, who is that? Jaguar, they can run, not for long, but like almost 100 kilometers per hour, like just 110. I think it was the record 114, like just, but they can run for 2 minutes, not for a long time. And there's some elephants, you know, they can go and slowly, but they go for hundreds of kilometers. That's why the kings used elephants for transportation. So there is a movement, there is habits, there is a strength, maybe, you know, abilities, but there's not much knowledge. So in the lower modes of material nature, human beings also don't have much knowledge. We can look at our children, you know. Do they act knowledgeable? Kids are like small animals sometimes, say. Sorry, grihasthas, you know. But it's true, you know. It's just bare instincts, you know. The faster we run, the more fun it is. You know. If the kid is sitting and absorbing, like I was many times amazed. So it is true, somehow the parents, in their modes of nature, they call for similar souls. And when sometimes the Indian families come here, I see all of them sitting here, the fathers and mothers and the kids, you know. They sit and just peacefully sit together, you know. If they are very devotional, spiritual inclined, they even sit and just chant some songs. You know. That was the most amazing experience when I was in Bhaktivinoda Manor, and there was this Janmashtami festival, and before or during that, since there's lots of guests, I was like 60, 70,000 in the weekend. It's a huge amount. Have you been there? You heard of it, you know. 70. Yeah, 60, 70,000 people a weekend. Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, usually. Yeah, a weekend. So there was a huge tent, probably a 3 size of our temple, like 1, 2, 3, and full of Mataji sitting and peeling potatoes and different vegetables, you know. And what they were doing, they were chanting some Krishna's glorification songs, you know. They've been trained up. Probably the mothers and grandmothers, and they were sitting somewhere doing something, and they were just chanting, just singing some Krishna Kanaya Dauji Kabaya, something like this, Brajabasi songs. It's just tradition. So this is already high level. Of course, maybe there is not much knowledge about Krishna, but there's a tradition. So this is two sides by sides. The philosophy and the culture has to be go there. So Krishna comes in different incarnations and gives that knowledge first for those who are kind of in the low level to rise up and give knowledge just basic how the world works, who you are, how to achieve something what you want to achieve, just without any, just neutral. If you want to get something good in your life, follow this. Because there is already laws, Krishna created the whole world. He knows how it works. So you can try to understand those laws by your own experiment, but you can also read the scripture or hear Krishna himself or his representative and find out how the whole world works. Any game, for example, cricket, you know the cricket? Or baseball, when you throw the ball and then you hit it, and then you have to hit it somewhere, it flies very far away. There's no goal, like football, you have to kick in a special place. Now you just hit it and just goes, and the further it goes away, it's better, And then somebody runs, and the second base, third base. For me, it's like complete nonsense. I don't understand that game. But probably if I take the paper and read the whole rules, it will make sense, But if I go on the field and say, I want to play baseball, and just put a cap and I get a thing, and I start moving around, and all the players would be like, what? What are you doing? Nonsense. You have to run that direction, not this direction. Why you start... Now you stand still, Now you hit, now you run, And if you don't know those things, you'll be everybody will be frustrated, and you'll be angry at yourself as well, because it's ignorance. You don't know what to do. So therefore, there's two paths, and it's upgoing path and downgoing path. Upgoing path, it means you try to, by own intelligence, figure out how it's working. And downgoing path, it means you receive knowledge from the one who is more knowledgeable, who more is experienced. You want to become doctor, lawyer, some president. No, president probably it's easy. Than becoming a lawyer or doctor, just... I don't want to mention names, but you just speak very crazy things, and there'll be some percentage people appreciate your crazy talks, and they just vote for you. It's just such nonsense. But anyways, if you want to become something serious, like driver, lawyer, you want to go cook, you go someone, like, you can of course read, but still, you need a final approvement. You cannot practice your own doctor practice without approvement. You have to be approved by other doctors. You have to see. But you'll not be discouraged. You go to doctor and everybody's nonsense. You become more sick. And no, you have to be. Have to be some result. So therefore, you go to some experienced person and receive knowledge. So therefore, Krishna himself comes, since he is most knowledgeable. There's a famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Shishi pralad lakshmin simhade bhagavan ki jai. Yeah, this famous verse and says, I'm the knower of the Vedas. I'm explained by the Vedas, and I'm the knower of the Vedas. And very interesting point, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that when Krishna says that, I'm a knower of Vedas, that means there's something he knows more than actually explained in the Vedas. Yeah. So there's the Vedas, there's scriptures, And if he is knower, that means he gave it these scriptures, explained, somebody wrote it down, but the source of it most probably knows much, much more than actually there. And that's interesting part of the, for example, in Vrindavan, if there's a messengers, and that comes again to the Uddhava. If there's messengers, there's a different levels of messaging, you know. For example, you can go and just deliver the written mail. That's normal postman, you know. This messenger, right? He brings you the post, you know. The DHL brings you the Amazon shipment or something like that. And that's the first level. So then next level would be you bring it, but you have to be also very confident. For example, if you bring big sum of money, you have to be kind of ensure it's not lost. You know, if you deliver the mail, you just write it again, print it out. But if you carry big money or important stuff, you have to make sure it's not lost. It was a very unusual case. We were in Bangalore a couple of years ago with one devotee who was going to the hospital, to Ayurvedic hospital, and he has some money with him, but in dollars, in US dollars. And to pay for the treatment, 2-week treatment, was quite high price, I would say, even for German money. But it was very it was full accommodation, food, massages, like 6 different things in a day, this, that, pills and everything. It turned out something like 900 euros in a 2-week session. So there was one devotee, local devotee, Jagannath Priya, I think so, its name. So, and we asked, can you find us the good place to change the money? Oh, I said, well, I'm good in it. He was a computer guy. Next to my office, there is a exchange office, you know, and I'll go by them every day and see them and my friends. So I can organize, they will come to you. You don't have to go even in the city. They'll come to you. And he said, how much money? It's like 900. Yeah. And of course, guys, they come, 2 of them on a motorbike with a big bag, and start to count the money. And they put the rupees on the table, like these packs, and like this pack and this pack. Like, what? What's going on? And a strange thing enough, that computer guy, although it's like, there's nothing to do else, just numbers. But when you say in different day than Indians, you mess it up, you know. It's like Australians say 1900, you know. You don't say 1900, you say 1900, right? Something like that. So he messed it up. He, instead of hundreds, he thought in thousands. So he thought it's like not 9, something like 9 or 90 thousands of euros, like this, and the guys come together, you know, security. Maybe there's a gun somewhere, you know, go completely Indian country road. And they come with a big bag of rupees and like this. And they just start counting. So no, we need only 900. Okay, exchange rate is different now. They raised the exchange rate a little bit. Yeah, so the messaging. But most excellent messaging is actually, you kind of deliver the mail, but the main message goes personally, eyes to eyes, you know, you talk. There was a message, but if the message is so secret, if somebody catches it, it's not even point, you know. You can't explain those things, because there's, besides the words, as a couple of days ago, Govindadev explained, there's a message which comes from the body, which comes from your emotions. And the words itself is only some percentage, like 10, 15%, whatever. The main message is coming through your personal experience. So therefore, Krishna doesn't just disseminate the scriptures, he comes himself. Right? So since he is the most accomplished person, and he is a source of all the knowledge itself, but the knowledge itself is not the highest thing. interesting enough, when we hear here the explanation of Sankhya Yoga, what means Sankhya Yoga? What do you know about this name of Sankhya? What it means? Sankhya. Counting. Yes. Sorry? Numbers also, yeah. Sankhya. Basically, numbers, counting, it means it counts and separates elements of material nature. It gives gross material elements, the 5 main: earth, water, and like this, fire. It gives also sensation related to those things, heat, wetness, touch. Then comes the same exactly also 5 things, the organs which are sensing it, the air, the skin, stuff like that. Also the 5 things which create the thing, If sound is connected to the air as a hearing, then the speech is giving actually. So it comes 5, 5, 5, 5, and the deed is as well. So it comes 20 already. And then there's a mind, and there's intelligence, and there's false ego. And there's few elements which not very commonly known. It's called contaminated consciousness. It is also counted as elements, which is source of all rest of the elements. That's sometimes called Karana-deha. There's Karanadakashaya Vishnu, and the causal ocean, and there's causal body. Our causal body is one which have to be dealt, finally. When we already talked yoga system and gradual advancement and rising above material nature, modes of material nature, gradually we have to come also to the highest level, what is pure consciousness, as we thought. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, pure consciousness. So pure consciousness is a one which doesn't identify with material elements, neither gross, neither the subtle, stula sharira sometimes it's called in Sanskrit is very gross, very precise, stula sharira, shit body, sorry to say, yeah. It's true, right? Stula means the excremations, the body is made of directly excremations, it's true. And a subtle body as well, so it is more difficult. It is more difficult when something is going outside as a element of coldness. You just put your jacket on, put pants and you deal with it. It's normal. Although for somebody it's already a problem. That's why Krishna says, the summer and winter seasons. It mentions, you have to tolerate that. The yogi, he's taking bath even in winter time. Probably very easygoing grihasthas don't do that. Why would take bath cold weather? You go to the mirror, take a warm water. That's it. I was in Russian army. We took a bath once a week, and every morning you just undress yourself in the half, and you just go to the tap and just no deodorant, most probably not every day even soap. You just rinse yourself, those things, freshen up. It's not bath, freshening up. So therefore, even those things have to be taught for some people. For us, maybe it's already kind of coming to the normal standard. If you don't take bath, you feel sticky. You don't feel clean. And after all, you remind yourself that unless you take bath, even you cannot. You're prohibited to go to altar. So those things are important. Gradual development of cleanliness. And the Vedic system is such a beauty that in every level there is instruction, there is example, there is a possibility to advance to the next one. We discussed this a little bit with the Vitu Prabhu, how it is, there is a different things. And unusual enough, I just read a little bit, running ahead, like a good book. You think, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? So a few chapters later, there is explanation by same Kapila Muni And he mentions that, that verse, come on, if I find it, whenever, from the memory, he says to the mother, there is unlimited quantity and variety of devotional services available. And I was like, what's going on? And read next verse, doesn't explain anything. And only Prabhupada's purpose give instructions saying, actually, devotional service is one. But because devotees have some mixed motivation, we can say there's different devotional services. And then he gives example, for example, the devotional service which is done under mentality of anger and violence and separatist mentality, that is devotional service in tamaguna. It is strange, tamaguna and devotional service is like kind of opposite directions, but still they are compatible. So when you look at every scripture from the point of view of developing the devotional service, then it becomes kind of understandable like a daylight. If you don't understand what's the goal, then maybe you lose. Okay, I want to do this. I have to be a pious person, right? You don't have to steal. There's mention, even Krishna mentions one, you don't have to steal. You don't have to illicit sex. All the same commandments which Christians have and so on. But if you don't reach from that point the knowledge about yourself as a soul, as an eternal soul, so and so on, then what's the point? You better, there was different philosophy. Who was the, not Chanakya. Who was that? Steal, beg or borrow, but you should get the ghee. Ghee is a symbol of fancy living. So whatever you do, or you steal, or you borrow, whatever it is, but you should get the ghee. That's the goal. Whatever you should get the money. You should get wealthy. That's the purpose of life, enjoyment. But it's the most subtle and most important contamination of this, our being. Everybody is the contaminated consciousness, which we think we are the ones who are enjoying. We are the ones who are controlling. And if you are frustrated with your enjoying and controlling, then you say, I'm God. I don't have to care about it all. He's like a small kid, In the courtyard, there's run, and he's lost, And he's always lost, He's slower than other ones, And what happens? He just says, well, I'm Olympic champion. I don't have to run with you anymore. You are unqualified for me. That's it, I don't have to run with you. So if you can control something small, then you claim, I control everything, so I don't care. So such a way people, actually, as was mentioned here, some, I was exactly wording. Sometimes it is claimed that someone has become an incarnation of God and expounding a new technological aspect, absolute truth, Yeah, you concoct something. Even in our movement, there is a problem sometimes with the well-known subject of Raganuga Bhakti. Everybody knows what's Raganuga Bhakti? What's that? In 2 words. Sorry? So, by one. Yeah. That's the problem. You already explained. There's sadhana bhakti and there's ragana bhakti. If you read many times, it is raganuga sadhana. There is vaidhi sadhana and there is raganuga sadhana. We take in different things. Sorry, I'm showing you an answer as example of already deviation in our minds. We think sadhana is like something, rules and regulations, and then comes the raganuga, which is spontaneous attraction, you know. I don't have to follow rules and regulations. It's like in music, you know. You give the small child the fisharmonium, you know, or karatas, or flute, or anything, you know. What music he will play? What? You know, like this. You know. What? He's spontaneous, right? He's completely spontaneous. What is the result is nonsense. You know. What happens in proper? You train for many, many years to play. You know the rules, you know the harmonies, you know how it fits together. Then you become spontaneous. What happens? You do the same melody with additional thing, or additional mood. Or you take one tone lower, something like this, and it's just palatable, it's nice. But he still follows the rules and regulations. So sadhana bhakti is one which is sadhana. It means you have to achieve something. It's something, activity for gaining. Sadhya, it is sadhaka and sadhya and all these Sanskrit words. So if you want to achieve something, which is goal, you do sadhana. But in this process, it comes a stage when you start to do more naturally. Yeah. It becomes more spontaneous. It means the rules and regulations which are given initially become like normal, you know. I don't go in the kitchen and think, oh, I have to put pot like this, you know. When you play a game or cut the wood, I have to do like this. It's natural. You don't take the axe and put it like upside down with the thing and try to cut the wood. Or you take the metal part and hit it with the handle, you know. I'm spontaneous. You know? You follow the principle which is working. Then you add your purpose, you add the mood, you add some details. So Raganuga is the same thing. You do those things, but you do with attraction. It's not prema, it's Raganuga. So those things also in the scriptures have to be understood. So unless we kind of catch those points, then the subtle deviations or can be overlooked. You know, this is the important part of the scripture, and therefore it is said when the religion prevails, then I come. So people maybe don't do bhakti, or even worse, they take bhakti and turn it upside down completely, like yoga system. When you hear yoga, what everybody usually understand yoga? Yeah, some postures, you know, some posture exercises. Yeah, Prabhupada was funny. Once he said, I think it was a couple of verses ago, for ladies to keep up the digestion, they go to some yoga classes, you know. That's it, you know, nothing more. Or breathing or something like this. Later on will be explained by Krishna himself. Breathing, yoga does help breathing, but not as a goal, as a means to pacify, to keep mind calm. Because breathing, what is breathing? Breathing is a movement of your air. It also refers to the movement as general. So if you are kind of hyperactive like a child, what kind of meditation you achieve? You know, you just run around. You know, you cannot concentrate on one thing. It is scientifically proved. Current young generation cannot concentrate more than 3 lines on Facebook. If it's like 20 pages, they don't read it. It just completely skip it. Picture is okay. And still, how long you look a picture? Half second, then you have to next page, next. You just scroll. And after 20 minutes, you'll, I've done my scrolling today. The ability to not concentrate on something, this is our mind, you know. Because we are not getting satisfied with something, we think if we change it, we will be happy. It is true. It's Krishna's principle. Enjoyment is coming from variety. But because we're putting ourselves in the center and we think we are enjoyers, we cannot, there's no question even directing towards Krishna or spiritual energy, because we are marginal potency. Like this is a part of a knowledge which Krishna gives. We are marginal potency. So if we want to enjoy, we have to look for something lower than us. That's material nature. But what's material nature? Does that matter? You know? Even for the people who are not devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam is very strong. It says it's like dead body breathing. That's a difference. When you contact devotee, you're actually dealing with a living being. And if you deal with a person who doesn't have a knowledge about himself, what are you dealing with? With that body, breathing. If you offend karmi, what happens? Well, of course, his conditional nature maybe is able to influence your conditional nature, and that depends on how strong his conditional nature is. But basically, it's nothing, it just, you get some material action. But if you offend devotee, you're actually dealing, you're hurting the soul, you're hurting the living being. It's a huge difference. So therefore, dealing with even with karmi, we have to understand there is a soul inside. And if we offend anyone, the Krishna is finally inside. He is a super soul. So it will not go unnoticed, unpunished, or ignored. None of them. It is said the yogi who is doing austerity, even for himself, not showing others, and the penance is causing the suffering for the super soul inside. That's also penance and austerity in ignorance. The activity has to be beneficial and not too painful. I'm, for example, sitting also. I'm performing Hatha Yoga now. My knee is hurting. I'm trying to continue my austerity until the end of the class. And if I cannot, I have to stretch my legs. It's also Hatha Yoga. But the purpose is much higher. So therefore, kind of closing the whole thing, I had many more points, but it seemed to be this path was more conducive. And when you see starting some subject and people start to doze off, and okay, that's not the subject people want to hear now, they want to hear something different. So, wrapping up a little bit, we can remind that Krishna, in a different forms, comes different times and gives us the knowledge about nature, knowledge about ourselves, who we are, how to act properly, and what's our goal. Besides that, he also shows by himself, as Prabhupada said, like explaining Chaitanya's teaching, he said, sometimes teacher comes and takes the hand of the student in his hand and writes A, B, C, like that, the alphabet. Doesn't mean the teacher is not knowing the ABC, he knows, but completely be absorbed in activity, he actually takes the hand. Similar way, every time Krishna comes in any incarnation, he gives us a chance to be absorbed in his inner world, in his inner feelings, inner motives, and so on and so on. He has his own motives, and the learned devotees know even for Lord Chaitanya, there's external and internal reasons for coming. And most internal reason for coming for Chaitanya, as far as I know, beyond those three which explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, is this, his desire. Oh, Krishna, shall I tell it or not? It's getting esoteric. Is this desire to please his beloved Radharani. Since she is most dear to him. And if you want to please the dear, you do something nice. And as she is being eternal, spiritual, enjoying potency of Krishna himself, there's no question anything material material will satisfy her. So to make her spiritually happy, you provide her with nice servants who are not material. They are spiritual bodies in the spiritual world, but they have to be trained up. So therefore, every time in the classes, most of the times we chant Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. The one who read Mano Bhishtam, one who established the desire of Chaitanya, is Rupa Goswami. And he is not just Rupa Goswami. He is original servant of Radharani as Rupa Manjari. So this mood of most selfless service of this Manjari mood is most unusual and dear. And actually it's the highest. We say, oh, gopis, gopis. But there's above that, there's this completely selfless service. You don't even want to enjoy with Krishna at all. Gopis want to enjoy with Krishna. No? Manjaris don't want. You know? I just rested there. I read that sometimes there's a pastime, or well, let's say, who was that running around yesterday and asking, can you make me a flute? We want to make a flute, you know. Krishna is making flute, and sometimes his flute is lost, you know. Into the pastimes and the things he's lost. And then, of course, to make a whole thing more funny, some of the gopis, they pick up the flute and they hide it, you know, like, and they pass it from backs, you know, like this, you know. You know, Krishna is running around and catching the flute and it's like that. And then what happens? He starts to check, okay, where's the flute? And then he goes and checks it. Where's your flute? No, I don't have it, you know. No. And give to someone else. When he goes like that to Tulasi, she starts to scream, don't touch me. Who are you, you know? I don't have your flute. Probably you hid yourself, you know. You are the one who is making this whole thing up just to touch us, you know, like this. Whole pastime is there. So gopis will kind of agree, but if you go to Manjaris, they will never agree. So their service is so intimate. It's Prabhupada once said, the quality of perfect servant is you are always available and never visible. Never visible. You're not seen, you know. Everything your master needs will be provided, but you will not be in front, seen, you know. It's like for president, there's a bodyguards, but there's some very, very intimate guards, intimate servants. They're never seen on the thing, but they're always there. They'll be in a crowd, they'll in the background somewhere. So the highest service which Chaitanya valued, it is service of those Goswamis, who are in a mood of this even more subtle than the gopis. So gopi bhava is old story. Now we are in a Manjari bhava. the most selfless service in which you don't even think, you know, of Krishna so much. You know. Only as much as he's a person who Radharani likes most. So. Therefore, the quintessence of all thing is devotion, which is above the normal Sankhya Yoga. Normal Sankhya Yoga is just counting material elements and stuff like that. Get the reason not to be attached to material world, you know. When you put the whole thing apart, you know, I'll take my computer and put it apart, and each deed, you know, will be in a table. It's not very attractive anymore. It's not working, you know. So the Sankhya is dividing the whole material world in a sections, you know, particles, and it becomes less attractive. But still, you have to be attracted to Krishna and to service to Him. So that's the most confidential reason why Krishna every time comes in different incarnations to give this mood of service, the selfless mood of service, which is available by examples of 6 Goswamis, and we are praying when that will happen. Kadamaya. When? Kada. When? When that day will come, when I will be absorbed in the scriptures of six Goswamis who are explaining the most deep reason for Chaitanya's appearance, for Krishna's, for every incarnation's appearance, is this selfless mood of service, which can be absorbed by meditating about Goswamis, about our acharyas, Prabhupada. One last point, which we also can mention, that Kardama Muni experienced this unusual thing, a few minutes, 2 minutes, that Kapila, as incarnation, as it says here, himself, God himself, came to his house, and what happens? He leaves the home. He goes away. Somebody already thought about that? Krishna come to your house and you just go away. Why? Confusing, right? Well, of course, but it would be nice if he hears that topic as well. Not like just, okay, my son talks to my wife and I go away, It's not like so confidential, I would like to also hear the topics of him explaining the same devotional service. There's nothing wrong. Acharyas explained that actually Kardama Muni was very, very advanced in already his devotional service. So if you talk about contaminations, he was already above the bodily concept, above the identifying himself with the mind, with the intelligent senses, the second level. Third level, the mind, attachments, he was above that. But still, he had this last contaminated consciousness, which is this Purusha Bhava, I'm enjoyer, I'm a controller. So that thing he still was working on. So for that thing to work through, he had to leave a situation of family life. He had to go inside, inner meditation. Actually, he meditated on his own motivations. So that was his level. Also, second explanation was he was more into the mood of service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, all these processes he was more doing. And for doing that, the outside from family situation was more important. Although, Prabhupada explains also that in his life was a little bit similar. When his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, you should go to preach to the English countries. He was first also kind of hesitant. He was thinking, I should stay with my spiritual master, with my Guru. So same thing, Kardama Muni would also say, I should stay with Krishna. But better than staying with Krishna is following his instructions. So therefore is Vani and Vapu. The more important the personal association is following instructions. And the scriptures say, 50 years, you leave the home. Whatever happens, you have wife, not to have wife, have children, even Krishna children, you go away. Still, above that is a mood of Vrindavan. Since mood of Vrindavan, it is being in Krishna's presence as a servant always. So if he would be, Kardama Muni, in a level of Vrajavasi devotee, he would never leave Kardama Muni. So those hints are already there because we are, as I said, gradually progressing through Srimad Bhagavatam from our level to Vrindavan level of Krishna. Those things are just dropped in a little bit like a hint, So those subjects of leaving, not leaving, staying with the Lord, not staying with the Lord, is very important. So only acharyas can give this understanding why and how, and then we can understand. So if he would be in a mood of Vrindavan, he would not go away. But he was more in dasya, he was more in meditation, and there was still a little bit of material contamination, so therefore the family station, even with the Lord, was not very conducive, so he went away. And finally, after that, even Kapila Muni, he left the home. He left the Devahuti as well. So that also happened. So it's kind of rule, you should get ready. Those who are close to 50 or thinking about how is my devotional life going to come, it is said, neither brahmachari should get married or grihastha should take sannyas. There is no scripture like that. But there is scripture saying everybody in grihastha ashram should take vanaprastha. Must have. So be ready for that. Hare Krishna, any questions and comments? Kripasindu. Right. Hmm. It's both things are connected, since Krishna likes to see gopis happy. So they have to enjoy themselves. You cannot just please Krishna and be like emotionless, unenjoyable stuff like that. He likes to be, this main description of Krishna, he has a company, one of the 4 different qualities. He has only him. He has loving devotees around himself. And they are always jolly, you know. And if you are not jolly, so what you're doing here? You know? There's always someone standing in a corner of kirtan in arati, and they're just like meditating Krishna, you know. Okay? They would be appreciated in the Chaitanya's dancing party? Probably not. So these things are connected, but the underground thing is making pleasure to Krishna. So by this dancing, by being happy, you make Krishna. So sometimes it is said, some spiritual ecstasy come, and you are losing consciousness, you know. In ecstasy, you like so much. But at the same moment, you have to do some service. So you curse, you condemn that ecstatic feeling, because that may be impediment in your ability to do the service. So underlying principle, there is no question, there's only thinking of anyone in Vrindavan, not just gopis, making Krishna happy, pleasing him. So on which way you do it? By cooking, by cheating, instead of laddu you put some bitter flour in his mouth as Gopa, or by dancing with him, or by even arguing with him. I never heard of Yashoda is arguing with Krishna. He's always my boy, he's always sweet, he's nice. Gopis can argue with him, you know. So, but this still is pleasing, you know. Enjoying with him, dancing, it's also good, but not because our mentality is I enjoy, but then also it's good for someone else. It's completely opposite. Any inhabitant of Vrindavan, what to speak of Vaikuntha, Yajna, they're all thinking how to please Krishna. But in which way, when you come to that level of completely absorbed in your desire to please Krishna, then Krishna, him, not us, not our process of development, will come to that. He will reveal you the best way he thinks you should do it. And of course we start to argue, okay, that means I don't have free choice, you know, I want to be Gopi, and then suddenly I have to become this and that. No, because the so natural desire to please Krishna is there, so if he desires at that moment or for eternity, so you serve him this way, in dancing or cooking or playing with him or serving, you'll be most happy to do that. So Krishna chose particular living beings, eternal living beings, to be his gopis. So they're happy to do it, And if Krishna says, from this day on, like next 2 weeks, you are servant of Mother Yashoda, they'll be most happy to do that too, But because Krishna wants, they do that. And also, because Krishna wants to make Radharani happy, there is the servants who are manjaris. They don't care about enjoying Krishna playing. They also care about making both of them, the couple of Radha Krishna, happy. So they provide everything, small, tiny service, but not only small service. As I said, messengers. There's messengers who are different level. He just brings the letter, There's simple servants of Krishna too. They just bring stuff and like this, and this is not manjari. Manjaris are really, they are so absorbed in the inner moods of Radha and Krishna that, in Christianity there's things that if you are so much absorbed in Jesus Christ, then stigmatas appear, the holes in your hands. Have you heard of that? No? It's called stigmatas. When you're so much meditating on Jesus Christ, the holes in your body start to appear. So when Krishna, Brahmacharya is going to close it. If Krishna kisses Radharani and she bites a lip, that bite may appear on Rupa Manjari, on the lip. There's a Vilapa Kusumanjali scripture, You ask, Rupa, your husband is not home. And your lip is like bleeding. What happened? Who bit you? The parrot? The great parrot did it? And it's something, maybe Krishna did it, maybe. They explain, they are so much absorbed into the inner dealings and even bodily and mental things so much, they experience much more even than Radharani. It is said the tulsi, why we say manjaris, the tulsis have these flowers around. So if you just shake tulsi a little bit, all the things go like this, up, All the emotions are multiplied, but not because of that. Because you have this most selfless service, those things can be experienced. But we think, I want to experience ecstasy, therefore I'll be manjari, or gopi, whatever. But no, the underlying is the service. So that's the principle, And they are happy to do anything Krishna wants. So, and if you hear the Krishna's flute, and you don't want to run straight away to Krishna and dance with him, that means you're not gopi. So we don't even hear the Krishna's flute playing. It's going on all the time. The invitational flute is Krishna's playing all the time. And when cows hear, they just run to him, And when Mother Yashoda hears, she hears, okay, he's playing, he's coming. In a half an hour he will hear. I have to make something. The same sound is coming from Krishna will be the reason for your own service. So that's the thing. So we divide in, this is more enjoyable, this is higher, this is lower. No, the thing is, you have this selfless movement service. And according to that, Krishna will provide you the environment, the service, the associates, the examples, who you follow, and so on and so on. Did it kind of give a hint? Harbo? Yeah. What to speak of gopi is the Mother Yashoda. This is explained in Sri Ramaswamy book when the Lila with Damodar. Mother Yashoda, she put Krishna away. Right? She put Krishna away and ran for the milk. And with every step she took away from Krishna, she felt more and more happy. Because she was going to leave Krishna for the service. That milk was meant for Krishna's pleasure. So there's Krishna,
And there's milk. And every step she took away from Krishna, she felt more and more happy. And she was like, what's going on? I left my Krishna and I feel happy. So this is an unusual thing. It's just like every time you do more and more towards serving Krishna, pleasing Krishna, you become more happy. But that's not your goal. You enjoy. That you become the natural consciousness, constitutional situation of the spirit soul is Satchitananda, you know, Ananda. And if you don't achieve Ananda, that means you're on the wrong path, you know. Joyfully performed. Bhagavad Gita says this process is joyfully performed. If you perform it, it's not joyful, that means you're going the wrong way. That means passion. That means something, you know, passion means suffering in a Latin word, right? Or tamagunda is not even no enjoyment, no suffering. It's just like complete ignorance, you know. So, on the path of devotion, there has to be some enjoyment. Otherwise, you check, you know, checklist, you know. Okay, I'm eternal, I have knowledge, so next step I have to enjoy. But you can enjoy only if you enjoy with Krishna. If you enjoy yourself, you dry out. It's like a spark of light. It goes away from Krishna, just dims out. You're back to fire. Like this. So Krishna is enjoying all the time. And everybody is in his presence enjoying, you know. It's like light, you know. There's light and there's darkness. More you come to Krishna, more light. More to come to Krishna, more enjoyment. More eternity, more knowledge. Everything is more. The most you come. And at some stage, we say, Bhagavan, even great personalities are Bhagavan. Mataji gave yesterday about the opulences, right? Living being gets opulences, knowledge, power, everything, due to coming closer to Krishna. Those things are given just like for free, you know. You stay in association devotees, you'll be hungry. I was like, prasadam is always, you know. The more you go away from devotees, less prasadam. You go here, it's prasadam always. So everything, enjoyment, eternity, knowledge, everything is there. The more we go away from Krishna, less. Selfless is underground thing. You don't think about yourself. You think about what's pleasing them, what they need, you know.
But we are used to selfish enjoyment. That's why when we hear enjoyment.
That's the difference. That's the thing. That's Purusha Bhava. That's the last sneer of Maya. You think I'm enjoying. This is about talking about, for example, the same Raganuga Bhakti. When you come to the preliminary last stage before love of God, before prema, there is bhava, bhava bhakti, bhava sadhana even. If you think I'm in bhava level, like example from Srimad Bhagavatam is Bharat Maharaj. He was in level of bhava. He fell in love with the deer. He was in a level of bhava, of love of God, almost like love of God, ecstatic feelings. So if you think that ecstatic feeling doesn't come from Krishna, you fall down. Only because you understand this is side effect of my service to Krishna. If you more concentrate on external feeling of yourself, you are on a mental platform. Mental, it is feelings, attachments, you know, this is mental platform. It's even not even highest, the second level of contamination of consciousness. I think somebody will start to complain. You're talking too long. You can keep your questions for later, for breakfast if you want. I will be there. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.